Welcome everyone and welcome to another episode of the Business Hour here with Umar Rashid on Unity FM. And this is the show where we talk about all things business. So whether you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or even an employee, we've got you covered because we talk all things business, and the value that we give you is through the amazing guests that we have. Now, if you've missed the previous shows, you can listen to those shows on the Unity FM website, or alternatively you can visit my YouTube channel at Umar Rashid HR, where all the previous episodes and shows are uploaded. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. The handles for all of those are at Umar Rashid HR, and it'd be great to connect with you and you can give me your feedback. Now, on to today's guest. So today's guest is a business advisor and sales trainer with up to 28 years experience in direct sales, and he spent the last 3 years as a business advisor for the FSB in helping small to medium businesses and self-employed businesses to achieve their ambitions. Previously, he worked as a sales rep and a sales manager in B2B and B2C, selling various products from various industries and managing sales teams. He helps businesses with their sales staff to increase their sales and sales conversions with sales training and coaching. And today's guest is the one and only Zafran Khan. Brother Zafran, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Brother Omar, thanks for inviting me onto Unity FM and to talk about all business related topics.
Yeah, business related, sales related. Thank you very much, Zafran, for coming on. Have to say, mashallah, 28 years experience. You don't look as if you would have that much experience. So you've either taken sales very, very easily, or sales haven't quite stretched you out, because, you know, we'll go on to it, but sales is actually quite a very pressured, environment.
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right, Omar. I mean, I've took sales as my career, but at the same time, there has been times where pressure's been on there, because it's all KPI driven, it's all targets, it's all revenue. So it doesn't matter how good you are. You're only measured, and you're only good as your yesterday's results.
So how did you get into sales?
So what happened is, Omar, and to tell you a little journey, 28 years ago I got into sales, or just slightly a bit more to that. I was at college, and just like anything, you're at college, you're studying, and then I decided, I just need to get, a part-time job. Yeah. So it wasn't really serious. And so where I live in the area, there was a branch, and it was a home improvements company called Stay Bright Windows. So it was massive back in the 90s and up to the early sort of noughties. But then the company closed and went on to various. So they had branches throughout, the Midlands and throughout the UK. So I really didn't know what sales was or anything, and we just happened to pass by, me and my friend. So we went to the shop, and those days, you could just walk in and ask for a job, and if they like it, you get it. Obviously, things have changed in a sense that you have to go through a process. So job, was apply within, and looked at it. I thought, it's going to be a glass shop. So they had a branch, they had the showroom, but I thought, right at the back, it's going to be, we're probably cutting glass and so forth. But then when I spoke to my sales manager, but he's like my father to me, ever since. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here where I am today. Okay. So he was my mentor, and he says, we're looking for taking on people. When can you start? I says, well, when do you want us? And I'm available now. He said, right, okay, come tomorrow, and come with a shirt and a tie, and he was at evening time work. So I said, well, I'm at college, I don't know if you just understood. And he says, no, you're at college, that's fine, but our work doesn't start from 4 o'clock till 8, so you get here for about 3, 3:30, there's a little meeting for about 20 minutes, and then you're going to go out. So I thought, right, go out. He says, you're going to go and knock doors. And straight away I thought, well, I've never done that, knocking doors. And I says, well, all right.
And you would have been 16, 17,
I was 18. I was 17 coming on to 18 at that time. Yeah. And so I looked at him and I thought, you know what, why not? it's just getting out, 4 hours. Yeah, I says, yeah, we'll do that. He says, you sure? He says, a lot of people, they come, but then they don't last. But anyway, came back, and then he took us out, and he says, right, we're gonna. And then he had a team leader, and we had to shadow him. So what he was, stable at Windows at that time, we were canvassing. So I started my journey right from the bottom as a canvasser, and he was knocking door to doors and getting people to have a quote on the window. So my job was just to make an appointment, get as many leads, make as many appointments as possible, come back, and then they will then ring on that scheduled time and date, and then they send their sales reps out to go out, measure up, and then if it sells from there, great, you get a little bonus. So when I went into that job and I saw the opportunity and that was there, I knew from there that, this is it for me. I'm going to go all the way.
At that early stage?
At that early stage. Okay. Within a month into the job, we had a sales conference. And when we went to the sales conference and I saw all these people that were picking up the awards and how they're rewarded and so forth, and incentives, speaking to different people from our canvassing, you had sales reps and you had ranks, and I thought, right, yeah, if I start where I am and do what I'm going to do, I can get there. And then I never looked back. So my double glazing was the first, home improvements was the first sales where I learnt everything from scratch. So from knocking doors, I went into team leading, managing team of 7 people, managing them, taking them out on the territory, organising the patch of where we're going to go, which area, which postcodes we're going to hit. And then from there, then I learnt. Then I took over the telesales of. Well, I've got the face-to-face and the telesales as well because, of the appointments that we make and that go. So it's all about, resilience. I wanted to learn everything. So I did, telesales, made appointments, just exactly the same, but the only difference is you're doing it over the phone. And then managed that successfully. And then I said, right, I've did what I did here, achieved what I've achieved, now I want to move up. So that's when, then from there, that gave me the good foundation of speaking to all types of people. And and those people who are into door-to-door sales or it doesn't matter what weather it is, you've got to go out. It's good, it's bad, and it's ugly as well. It's good when you're knocking and people come out, the homeowners come out to you, you speak to them, you have a laugh, and then you get what you want and they get what they want. That's great. But then you get when you get door slammed, because don't forget you got so many different organizations going at different times, and sometimes people, get annoyed, not another, window guy again, or whatever it is. So you have to have patience, and you have to, have a cool head as well, because they'll say things, and you want to retaliate, but then that you're representing a company.
So just on that, just take it back a little. When you said, after a month or so, you thought, okay, this was it.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's listening and they're thinking, okay, I want to go into sales. At that young age, what characteristics or what sort of personality do you think you had that you would say, actually, that makes it made me prime for sales?
People say, when you've heard that, you have to be, a salesman, or, you have to be born.
Yeah.
There is no born. Everyone is selling.
Yeah.
Everyone is selling, but we don't realise what we're doing until you come and look at the terminology and you break it down. You think, well, I'm saying that question, I'm saying that. But what you need at that time is you got to talk. So the ability is to communicate, but everybody can communicate, but we have moments where we're shy.
Yeah.
What you're going to do, you have to have a bubbly character. Now, for door-to-door sales, if somebody's looking to go, right, I want to go into door-to-door sales, an example like if you want to work for Virgin Media, they do door-to-door sales or other, then what you need is, again, you need patience because, the weather, changes all the time. So, it's not sunny all the time. So you're going to be prepared for all types of weather. But you've got to also be prepared because you're now going into the public. You're dealing with all types of people in the community. You're going to get good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
So for that, you need to have a character, but you need to have, again, like I said, patience. But you need to be bubbly character yourself. So as long as you got those, the rest, the organisation will teach you, and then it's all about learning and then employing. So you're going to make a mistake. It takes time. For some people hitting ground running, they come off the course and within the first 2 weeks, they're flying. Yeah. And then suddenly they hit as an area time situation where they're right at the bottom. It's how you get around. So all the, you learn, you have mentors. And what they teach you, you're taking, but because they've gone out there, they've done it themselves. So they know, what challenge you face. And then if you're looking at that, I'd say my recommendation would be is don't just look at look at that company you're working for, how far of a career progression you can go, and then aim to get there, because as you go up, it just gets better and better. Again, the pressure, as you go up, it gets better and the pressure gets more, but that's the field that you want to go into. If you look at as a short term, it's great. I mean, when I first came into it, it was just like, as a part-time. I was studying college and I thought, but then when I looked at the progression, I looked at other colleagues of mine and ran the company of what they're achieving, how far you can go, straight away I make my mind that, I'm going to go into sales.
Did you finish college?
I finished my college, but I didn't go to university because I was studying, sales and marketing and finance at that time. Business finance covers sales, and I fell in love with sales. And I thought, well, I'm not going to go, spend another 3 years and then maybe not achieve what I want to achieve at that time. And I thought, well, the area I want to go into that I'm studying, I'm working in it, and I'm earning good money at that time. Why not? So I just stopped at that. You know yourself, Omar, with our Asian families, parents, especially first generation parents, was all about education.
Yeah. My dad wanted me to be an accountant. Just because I was good at maths, he was like, be an accountant. Okay. A couple of things you said, Zaf, and one, you said everyone's a salesman, 100% salesperson, what you described was what you would probably say B2C, knocking onto people's doors, selling glass windows, doors, or, Virgin Media would be Sky or whatever. That's very much B2C. When it comes to B2B, it's a different ball game, sales and everything sort of stuff. First thing I want to ask you, sales and marketing. It's a loop, isn't it? Because what's more important? Because marketers will say, well, without marketing and people not knowing who you are, you can't get sales. And the salespeople will probably be thinking, okay, but if you don't have any sales, there's only so much marketing you can do before you go bust, sort of stuff. What's your thoughts on it? Are they equally important, or do you think one's more important than the other?
Very good question, Omar, there. Again, you've covered what you've just mentioned of two different sets of groups. They're both important. You can't have sales without marketing. You can't have marketing without sales. They go in parallel. It's like, we've got two hands, right? So they have to. They come in pairs. Marketing is important because you need to have your price. You need to have your place. You need to have your promotion. You need to have your product, right? And the product makes awareness. So a very good, marketeer who has done a very good, job on the marketing will highlight, and that will draw traffic of lead generation of potential customers. Oh, I like that. What's that about? Then you have to have sales to turn those potential into actual, your clients. So sales is important. So without sales, nothing happens in this world. So in every department that you have, or business people that are listening right now, they have all the departments. You got your accounts department, important. You got your legal department. You have all the department, but you have to have, and HR with this is important because HR is one place and selects for all. So you are, everywhere. So they come to you and say, right, we need salespeople. So you have to do your right screening, right fit for that. So that's important. So you have that. Then the sales is important because what I find, and especially over the last 4 years, is that I come across a lot of businesses. They've got fantastic, they've put all, when you, like yourself, Omar, when you've gone into HR, you're passionate about it because that's your field, that's your expertise. And if you set a company up, okay, it's your baby. But to get a lot of, traffic into it, you need to have sales, because salespeople, what they will then do is they will take that marketing and they can go out. So you got to look at your territory. How far is company looking to expand? Is it, looking at just local? Is it, national based or international? And depending on your territory. And then the salespeople, because it's all about numbers game. So they will then say, yeah, this is what we have. Yeah, we can get that for you. So without that, nothing can happen. And I see, in businesses, you need to have ability to communicate and ability to sell. Problem we have is that we like to sell, but hate to be sold. Yeah. That's the, sort of the concept we're living in. And so they say, yeah, we've got our, social media's covered. We got business page. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on every social platform you can think of. We've got a fantastic website. Yeah, you press the name, search, SEOs. We work with some good companies, and we're out there. But the problem is that, everything's there, but why, the traffic's not coming, what we're looking for? That's because you can have all of that, fantastically invested it, because you need that. But then you need salespeople to come along. So those people who are looking, what's this all about? And then turning them into the clients. And that's where the sales comes in. And they will bring you that revenue. And then they look at your profit margins of where you want to be in 12 months, what kind of profit you want. So the salespeople, and what recommendation I give is that, a lot of sales companies don't want to sell themselves, which is great. Then have a sales team, recruit, salespeople, seasoned, qualified salespeople, and then hire a sales manager, because the sales manager will know how to run sales, and then you can look at other things, and you'll see the revenues and the profitability will go out to the market.
Couple of things that you mentioned, the people love to sell, but they hate being sold to. Yeah. You get I don't know if you ever get it, but I've always heard, look, salespeople, it's a dirty profession, it's a dirty job, or salespeople are dirty sort of stuff. I don't know, is that something that's a myth, or is that just the way the sales profession isn't really well seen, is it? It's not really I want to say respected, but it's, you know what I mean? It's not very highly thought of, is it?
Oh, well, exactly what you're saying. It's, I agree with that. Yeah, some people say it's a myth. Some say, well, it's not, it's a reality. It is. Sales is important, just as your medical profession, your finance is up there. But with the sales, what's happened is the reason why they look at dirty now. If I was in America, okay, and most of the sales that's happening in the UK out there are all American-based, selling. The person development that we're involved are all from America. American company in itself is built on sales. So what I've been doing, if I'm sitting in America, anywhere up and down in America, I'm treated just as the same person is treated in medical as a doctor comes in, or a lawyer, are looked up exactly the same, because they see the concept. The difference is in here in the UK is because sales profession is top. But the reason why we have a different concept about it, like looking at as a degraded, is here just for after the money, is here, don't trust them. That's because in the past what's happened is that you've had individuals who didn't care about the customer journey, didn't care what they're looking for. They just knew that, right, if I sell this type of revenue here, if I get this revenue in, I'm going to earn this much commission, because they pay you, the job is paid really well. And they just look for their own means, and they'll do anything, I'll call it bad sales, to get that. And that's when you hear in the news, at my time was newspapers at that time, and now it's everywhere, and you hear that the company has done this, a certain agent or certain rep has gone into a business or into a consumer's home, and we hear that, and it's because of that people, that everybody else. But that's minority. So if in every field that you're going into, there's always going to be good and the bad. But I say for that is that invest, because just like you would invest in studying in law, or you're studying in finance, or you're studying in medical, you have to do all those training and to get to where you are certified. Sales is exactly the same. So when you have good mentors and when you have good coaches, and they say, yeah, we need to push the product out, but at the same time, we have to respect what the consumer is. So he has to have a fine dividing line. It has to be a middle where, he or she is happy and you're happy as well. And then because when you go out to see a client, they don't look at the company. They look at Zaf. I'm that brand. I am that marketing. I am everything. So if I don't do my job right, it's me, individual, who's going to give a bad name to the company. But then when something happens, they don't look at, Zaf. They look at, who's the CEO? Omar Rashid. And that's the problem.
Zaf, a couple of things you've just said, right? One, invest. Two, you say that people who go into sales don't care about the customer journey. It's about targets and commissions. And the third one is about the brand. Now, forget the big companies, because the big companies probably will have dedicated sales teams and etc. etc. Predominantly, the world that we tap into are your smaller businesses,
small, medium, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Who maybe don't have the higher budgets, etc.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? Would you recommend the business owner investing in themselves, going out there and being the salesperson who then cares about the customer journey, etc., etc.? Or should they maybe invest in someone else to bring the sales in, and then they obviously deliver that service? Sort of
Brilliant question again, Omar. I'll take you back to the first one you just said.
Yeah.
Is that a business owner, his business. He's set it all up, he's put everything into that business.
Yeah.
So he needs to have the ownership. Because he needs to know that his product, he needs to know his target audience. Who are his audience? Who are his competitors? And at the same time, you have to analyze your competitors as well, what they're doing different, So that's when branding and so forth, because you have to be up there, because otherwise you're going to lose. So for that, they have to go out. And I say that if they don't come from the sales sort of background, then they should invest themselves in that, learn. And those are the ones that you'll come across where they got everything. You look at their website, is amazing. It's everything, what you expect to happen. But then when you say to them, what's your biggest challenge right now? Is that I got everything, but traffic's coming. I got potential, but nothing's happened from there. They see my product, and that's it. That's because sales is a process. But my USP of sales is that you're there not to sell. So now listeners think, well, what do you mean? Sales is all about selling. How can you go into sales not to sell? What you're doing is you're understanding your customer journey, but in that customer journey, you're helping them to make their decision. That's all you're doing. But what you've learned is the process, and that's where the different strategies and different techniques of sales comes in to understand and then identify. Once you've identified, and then you take on that journey. But what you're really doing is a good salesperson, seasoned salesperson, as well invested in himself, career mind, will take that a client to a journey. But at the end, if you say to the client, after 2 hours of you just want information, what was the reason to buy? He will say, yeah, I wanted that, but he identified my problem. Problem is, we all can sell, because we all can sell our product in our tent, because you know HR more than I do, because that's your baby. So when it comes to HR, you can tell me everything about HR, and I can tell you anything about sales. So I say telling is not selling, because a lot of people, we tell, but we have to understand our client. So right, okay, why is it or she, what led them for this information? And that's where you take them on that journey to find out really what's driven them. And then you have to have a reason. You have to identify that reason. So you become a investigator. Yeah. And good salespeople are good listeners. So they will let everything come from the customer. They will tell you everything. And you just got to develop a good questioning based.
One thing I find difficult to not believe salespeople, and I suppose that one of the reasons I wouldn't hire a salesperson to purely go out there and sales is one day they could be talking to a customer and saying, this company that I work for, they're the best in this. 3 months later, they could go to a competitor or similar sort of company, and then they will probably to that same customer and then say, no, this company's the best. Do you know what I mean? There isn't that real emotional attachment, and what I'll just find is with sales, like you said, it's very, very numbers, it's very, very commission, and this is no disrespect to salespeople out there, sort of thing. I find them ingenuine. And I find that's the difficulty, and that's why that's just my reasoning for I don't think I could have a salesperson, a person who will just do out and out sales. I think I'm the person for that. I'd rather have people then, once I bring the sales in, that they go and do the HR and sort of
that's why coming back, to those, businesses, you're actually right. That's how I call it like a football, As a footballers, working, playing for one club, when they go to the club, they say you're the best. Yeah,
it's like the footballer will kiss the badge one day, and then they go on.
Sounds like that, but the real, good sales is that everyone is out there to do well. The great way is that you never slag your competition. Yeah, people will say to you, "Oh, right, okay," they looked at, because when you go see, potential client, they've done all their research. They've invited you. That's because that doesn't mean that you're the only first one. They've probably gone to 6, 7, and they're just comparing to make sure which is the right one for them. Mm-hmm. And they've had people come in and say that they're the best. Yes, you have to believe in your product. So if you're HR, if I'm selling HR, I'm going to make sure that this HR of yours is the best. But it's best in these are the areas that it's best for. But there's always going to be someone. Sometimes you can have the best product, but your customer services can be really down. Yeah. So the product's good, customer service is not. So you have to, service and say, right, yeah, I was working for the previous company. They're great. But of the company I'm working for, I'm great here as well. because they all have, a different. And again, what I said, it goes back to the start, is your mentor. Who was your mentor? If your mentor is the one who's caring, yes, we're there for the business, but, because the company needs to, they need to meet their KPIs. Everybody is KPI driven. Everybody's measured. But at the same time, you've got to be prepared where, I don't think this is for you, Mr. or Mr. Customer. I don't think this is for you. And it's hard to walk away from it because straight away you've calculated, well, you know what, if I get this, it's going to earn me X, Y, Z.
That's me sorted for the week.
And it's sorted for. And that's, and then I say, but those who say, they're the best, and this how they've been programmed. But they are the few. That's why you see them go and they're gone. But the seasoned ones will understand, because every sale is different, but every company product's different. So you have to understand, okay, this product, who is it for? Is the audience, and it's from there is what the audience do, and that's where the market research, that's where the market is very important.
Okay, guys, you're listening to the Business Hour with Rashid. We've got Zafran Khan, sales professional, on the show today. We're just going to take a short break, but please do stay with us, and after the break we'll talk about some of the common mistakes business owners make in sales and the sort of things that they should be doing in order to prep for that ever so important sales meeting. Thank you. Welcome back to the Business Hour here with Rashid. I've got Zafran Khan, who's a sales specialist, and we've been talking about the sales process. Zafran, I want to quickly go on to, what do you think from your experience, common mistakes business owners make when they go to any sort of opportunity to make a sale? So it could be where they've been invited to make a sales pitch, or whether they've met someone for the first time who potentially could be what they're thinking is their ideal customer. What common mistakes do you find from business owners?
I mean, from business owners' perspective, if they haven't come from sales background and they see a lead, they say, the client's come from it, and then straight away they say, I'm going to tell them exactly what I'm going to tell them, what my product does, and then there should be a sale. How should I look at it is, right, okay, anything that's coming in, look at it just a normal inquiries and break them down and say, right, there's going to be good ones, there's going to be bad ones, there's going to be the ugly ones. What I mean by bad ones, ugly ones, where you make an appointment, you turn up, and they say, sorry, I didn't realise you were coming. Yeah. Or
they reschedule or cancel last minute. Yeah.
That's going to happen. So take into the fact that you got in inquiry, and never think about sale, because the sale will happen itself. When you have your product and it does what it does for them, and you just identify the customer what they want, and you fix that solution, the product sells itself. You just become an investigator and say, right, okay, what led you to my website? What made? And then if you do that job right, then the sales are made. Sometimes people give you buying signal. I will give you a buying signal. We all leave a buying signal, and we get excited that he's interested. It's not, because that's how we are. Everyone is programmed to give you a buying signal. So going back to the very first question is that for the business people is that if they don't want to hire salespeople can do themselves, and I agree with that. I said that the best thing to do is learn that yourself. Yeah. Because what happens is every company has different types. Every person can sell. A salesperson can sell for any product. For us salespeople, if I'm being hiring for a particular company, I've got to, first of all, for me, is what type of strategy they have, what type of sales, who's the audience. I have to understand that, and then I have to understand the company's ethos, how they want me to treat their clients. And if the business owner has learned that his product and seen it the way he has seen it, and he tested, so he knows what type of implications are going to be or impact is going to happen, he can then guide, and that's when then he can then come to yourself Omar, and say, right, okay, I'm now looking for salespeople, but I'm looking for these qualities. Yeah. And that's when you do your screening and making sure, and you do your interviewing to make sure you get the right person fits for that company's job, and that's the salespeople you need. But when you have salespeople who've done all of that, is great, because they understand the journey, because they've gone through that process, they've been in the job quite long enough. But when you have someone who's been in it 12 months or 2 years, for them it's just excitement at first, because it's the money for them. But they learn as they go along.
A lot of it you've talked about learning, investment. Now there's different types of models with sales.
Yes.
Do you want to just explain or share some of the models and the differences?
With the models are, with the companies we'll have, is that certain organisation depends on certain. So the models are really the same. Really, you either got inbound, so you got inbound sales, you got outbound, and then you have account management, so it says where they look after particular accounts, and then you have field sales. So the field sales is kind of hand in hand with accounts. So these are the the sales that you have, and in the field sales is either business to consumer, so what we talked about in the door sales, or B2B, business to business. So these are the sales types that's out there, and then you have an organisation that has everything. So you're in the centre point where they've got the inbound, they got the outbound, and they got the field sales as well. So you got, for instance, like an inbound, car insurance that you want, or house insurance that you want. It's all inbound. You don't need to now to go to an insurance shop. It's not very rare. It's just who and it's done all over the phone. So that would be, the inbound. The outbound is when they ring you, and those annoying phone calls that you get, and you think, oh gosh, what's that about? So that's that's outbound. So in the outbound, customer services, comes. So the customer service department will be a completely entity, different department, because that's customer service. It's all about when things go wrong or people are not sure with anything, they go to the customer services.
Just on your personal experience, when you receive these, we all receive them, these cold telephone calls, and they're like, "Sir, please can I ask you 3 questions?" Just 2. I don't know if you ever. I get it where it's someone who says, "Look, can I just ask you these 3 questions? 3 questions." Yes, it's a little bit survey, but it's intelligence gathering or whatever, which might lead to a sale. But when you receive a cold call, do you ever think, "Oh my God, how bad was that technique?" Yeah. What sort of common mistakes do you see?
What I normally do is, because obviously being in sales all my life.
Yeah.
So when I get a phone call, depends on the situation, I'm in. Okay, I'm like, oh, who's it now? If I'm in the middle of a meeting, the phone call, and then when I say hello, it's like that. It knows you.
Yeah.
But when I'm talking to them, I let them go through. So even if I'm not interested in that, I just become like a devil's advocate, just to see how good. Because how I look at it is, I'm always recruiting. Maybe somewhere down the line, I might need that person.
Yeah.
Again, he's going back to that, because coming from sales, branding, networking, it all fits into the umbrella. So I'm looking at that. Maybe this he or she that I'm on the phone might be my potential, employee, or if I'm working for some business, and it could be a referral for someone who's looking for someone. So I'll talk to them, and then if I think that's really, really bad, I'll say, no disrespect, I have a laugh and a joke with them. I say, you know what? I know you got away with that, but I come from this department. I come from sales. I should have been saying that. And sometimes, and you give them a confidence, that's good, and then they can go back. And
do they actually take it on board?
Yeah, some do, and some will, think, well, you don't know nothing. You'd say that because they haven't seen me. But some say, oh, thank you very much for that. But the ones, again, going back to investment, those who are serious, they want to go further, they want to develop, they will take that on board and say, oh, thank you very much for that. So how about that? Yeah.
What prep should someone make? So, as a business owner, you've got a sale, or maybe you're looking for the ideal lead to go through that sale process. What prep should someone take?
I mean, there's different types. Again, different organisations have different. So it depends what a field you're in. Okay, so when the lead first comes through, just say for example, first you can have your sources. Well, where is coming? Is it online traffic? So. Or the inquiry came through that actually a leaflet went out, or advertising, whatever the source that you have to draw that lead generation is, that comes in an inquiry. Then you vet that you vet it, so you actually ring the inquiry, because it can be just it can be just name and address, and from there you just find out and say, right, okay, I've just got your inquiry. You went to my website. Okay, what is it? So you do all your fact find. Okay, the fact find has to lead that this person. But there's a potential there. He's interested in my product. He's interested in my service, and then you turn that into an appointment. Say, right, okay, when's the best time for you? And now, Omar, over the last couple of years, we're in a great position now. So it's all hybrid. If a person is not comfortable coming to see you face to face, then we can jump on Teams or Zoom. So now, going forward, there's so many opportunities for us, and then from there, once they've vetted that and say, right, okay, he or she's interested in that as an appointment, then do a bit of research on their, on them, who are they, what are they actually looking for? Because in that conversation, you ask for certain things, then right.
So it's interesting you say that. So sometimes there's 2 processes, aren't there? Sometimes I might ring you to say, okay, look, I'm interested in your services, or I've been referred to your services, or I've searched on your website, etc., etc. Can we arrange to meet? Right. At that initial call, if you're a salesperson, if you're a business person, are there any particular questions or anything that you should be
Yeah.
maybe getting from that person?
Because the whole journey is about what you're going to hoping to achieve
Yeah.
from end of that meeting. And if you're in the selling position, it's all about, well, you want revenue from it,
Yeah.
regardless of what happens. But you say, right, okay, that's fine. I'll see you. That's brilliant. But what is it? What are you hoping to you? What are you hoping to achieve? What are you looking for? Oh, I'm just looking at a quote on on branding. I just I want to talk about branding. Then I know that, right? And I says that are you looking at and talking to anybody else, or is it just because what I'm identifying is that I don't want to go out there if just to be a waste of time.
So is there something particularly
So there's
someone could ask to kind of determine,
Yeah.
okay, is this person just a time waster to try and get some maybe initial free advice, or they're just looking for numerous quotes?
So on that basis, so if the person looking for numerous quotes, again, I won't turn that down because I look at, right, okay, you've had a few quotes. That tells me that the job isn't there.
Yeah.
So that gives me, I have to raise my game, so right, okay, and say, right, and so you've had quotes and what's happened from there. Or depend on the quote, or you might turn and say, well, I didn't like that company, I done a research afterwards and no, it's not. Or I looked at the review, I looked at testimony, and so that's one element of it. And then what I would do, because the idea of inquiry is not to sell your product, is to sell the appointment. So I want to make sure is that, right, I want to capture him, that he wants to see me, so I can book an appointment for me to go out to see him, because I've got the solution, but I want to know what his problem is.
Yeah.
Often what happens is on the appointment we sell for salespeople, because we say it's heart is interest, and they are also asking questions because they're searching, and you can easy. So the concept is, if your product is that you can sell it over the phone as well, then it's great because you do some of the work over the phone. So, well, to be honest with you, you don't need to. I tell you what, you're interested, I'll send you some information, have a look at that, we do a follow up, and then we can talk about it. So there's ways for that. But I will. My primary goal is, or the business person, it should be, is, all right, let's get that appointment. Let's get that cemented. And then when you're at that appointment, then you find out exactly, why you've had 3 good quotes. There are 3 great companies. Why, what's happened? What are you hoping to do? So there's meaning that we haven't hit his goal that he wanted to achieve. That happens at that presentation.
The hardest thing I've had to deal with when it's been a sales meeting is that initial rejection, or that rejection where the feedback is that's too expensive.
Yeah.
And then from there, the whole haggling and all of that of starts. What would you say to business people? Because sometimes you go through different journeys, don't you? So when you first start out, you probably end up, because you're desperate for that first sale, because you've got bills and commitments and everything, you probably end up dropping your price.
It comes in your body language. You can see, this guy's desperate for business.
So how and I hear it loads of times, and people say, look, stick to your nerves, look, if you've quoted £50, stick to £50. Don't get sucked into going down to 45, 40, 35 even sort of stuff. But how what would you advise on how to kind of
First
tackle
of all,
that?
what I would advise is in any we were born with rejections.
Yeah.
So rejection or objection is the same. In sales, that happens. You have to, and that's where some people can't handle that. Then the sales is not for them, because objection has to happen. Now, sometimes there's 2 ways of objections. There's a condition, and then a condition objection, and there's an objection. If it's condition where you can't do nothing about it, then it is what it is. Objection is great for you because that's what enables your product to move forward, because you got to answer that in objection. But there's 2 ways that there's positive and negative. The positive side is that you have to have objection to move forward. The negative side of that objection is that really objection shouldn't have happened. It happened because you haven't pressed it, but you haven't asked enough questions. You haven't literally sold it to that person, and that's why it's come out. Now, in sales, when we go through the process, our actual job starts at objection. So I can be with you now for half an hour, depending again on the type of the product. Some products, the type of sales I come from, being an hour, 2-hour presentations, either in client's home or if it's business to business, at their business. So they're prepared, and then that 2 hours work is nothing. The actual work is at the end, is when I've done everything. You're happy, everything, Mr. Rashid. Yeah, right, okay. Now for what you've said, that's the price. The job starts at that moment. because everybody can present the product and services, but the salespeople, that's where then the objection. So if the objection has risen of too expensive, you treat it, you acknowledge it, because but then if you got good service and product, then you should be worried about the price. Where people go wrong is when they say, "Oh, right, too expensive." Or what were you thinking? And it goes into like what you just said, haggling position.
Yeah.
And in the haggling is that you have now given them something at the price you don't want to give. You've degraded your product and service at times. What normally happens is again, going back to marketing, this is why the marketing, what happens is every marketing will have a certain promotion. Okay, this is what it is, this is the list price, but today, going forward, to go forward today, if you tick our boxes that I'm going to ask you now, then we can reduce this at 25% of it. But you have to give them a reason why you have, lowered your price. You have to justify. You can't just say, right, okay, in a house is 105,000. I'll give it for 95,000.
So would you say the best way to, okay, if people do haggle and they want to pay less, are you of the view of either A, no, you stick to your guns, or B, okay, if you want it a little bit less, then you don't get the full service, then actually we're going to withdraw a little bit of the overall package at that price?
Again, that comes into your a presentation. You have to identify right from the start, is that my client, is he just here for the price? He's not bothered about the quality, he's not worried about the warranty and the guarantee. What you can look at is what the product's going to do for you.
Yeah.
And I say, if you buy it cheap, you buy it twice. Okay, so that's been my motto. So it's the value, what will do for you over the period of time. And if the people see the value, if you sell it right on the value and what I'm looking for, then the price ain't objection, because it's the value that it does. If you're just looking for just for normal price, okay, in a deal, then you can lower it. So you have to have a list price, you have to have a discount because that draws you, but you only do it according to your customer needs, and that's where it comes establishing of exactly what to look. And that's again that comes in your sales process. So in that sales process is where we will ask, right, have you had a quote before? Have you had a product? What was it about? And they give you an answer. It was about the price. So then I know straight away that he's just wants a deal.
Yeah.
And then you're going to make sure that you've got. Then it's your job then to put on the plate that to attract that the deal that you've got is worth it for them. Yeah.
You started off sales 28 years ago, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
The world's obviously changed a lot
dramatically.
Obviously, I like to say we're kind of coming out of COVID, but obviously COVID has had an impact because people are more skeptical. Not skeptical, maybe more watching the purse strings, a bit more sort of stuff. But one of the other biggest things that has changed is technology and social media.
Yeah.
From your experience, how has social media changed? Because all I see now so much is if people aren't putting, let's say, general content, it's just all sales stuff, isn't it? A lot of it, predominantly, like you look at, well, it's retailers, Black Friday, this offer, that offer, buy one, get one free, Tuesday, this, did that. There's so many.
Yeah.
It feels like social media is just, if it's not memes or jokes or just general content, it's just sells stuff. How many touch points, how many things, what's your view on it? How has social media changed the sales game? Has it made it easier or has it made it harder?
From the sales point of view, it's made it great for those who adopt it to change. Like so myself, who've been in the game 28 years, and I think it's great because it's making my job. Still, the same process has to go through. You still got to sell it. Doesn't matter. They're saying it's all that happens. But what happens is there's more brand awareness now, so you can reach out to your audience. Whereas if you had to get a leaflet, right, and do a door drop leaflet or to businesses, most of the leaflet, what do we do when we see? If it's like first 5 seconds, if you don't like it, it's in the bin. Now you've invested on a budget in thousands, right, and it's cost you £1,000, whatever your advertising budget is. But someone just used that as a wrapper and gone in the bin. Now with the social media, the masses is great because he's reaching out. So that it gives us a more easier platform. Some people are not good. The old school will say, "Well, it's too much." They don't want to change. Then they are like with the COVID, they've been hit the worst. But you have to be ready for adopt and change because now we're living in a time where things are changing, moving really fast. You see one thing, you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, you're thinking, how's that?
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared to to change.
You know
Constantly.
what I find scary is I might search on Google for, let's say, trainers. Next thing, or within 5, 10, 20 minutes, or maybe I wake up, I'll go onto Instagram or I go onto Facebook, and all of a sudden I'm getting ads that come straight onto similar sort of trainers that I look at. I just find that really scary. But from a sales point of view, that's probably a great tool, because you're kind of thinking, okay, this person's has identified by searching he's in the market for trainers or something like that, isn't it?
Again, it's good.
Yeah.
But too much of it is bad as well, because then you can't cope. So again, on the selling side of it, you can't cope because it's too much. We're giving out too much information that gives people more time. And on the other side is like too much to keep. So in a way, but that's how it's been programmed now. So now, if you've got a product and if you don't put your contents out, it's like you're left behind.
This is going to be a loaded question.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think, from your personal experience, is the most effective sales technique? And I'm looking at, you've experienced door to door. There's leafleting, there's cold calling, there's networking, there's buying lists, and whatever. There's so many different varieties and stuff.
Yeah.
What, from your experience, do you think is the most effective?
I mean, there's no right or wrong, techniques. There's different ways of techniques. Like, I'll give you, everything is about closing. So what you have is that you have a buyer and you have a seller.
Yeah.
They're playing their game, you're playing your game. So they will create, objections, and at times, at the start, it could be smoke screen objections. So I'm walking through the door and you say, right, Zaf, okay, everything's fine, right, just to let you know, I've only got 20 minutes, I did tell them when they made an appointment that it was 20 minutes, or when I spoke to your boss, I did say 20 minutes. For me, that's fine, that's no problem. 20 minutes. Because that gives me plenty of time to ask something. So here is like, what I want to do is plant the seeds. So they will play their game of looking for excuse to to go out.
Yeah.
Your job is to close every door in that room. Once all that door are closed, he's in the position where you want him, and it's the only thing you say, right, how much is it? How much is it? Or if they say,
when do I sign up?
Or when they say, well, I can't afford it. If they say, well, I can't afford it, that's great, because that now you're looking for a deal. Well, when you say can't afford it, that's, what do you mean you can't afford? What can you afford? Or I haven't got cash. So if I've got a product that sells finance, I'll be talking finance. So there's different, avenues, for that. So there's different types, but the best one, okay, and if you get that right, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can sell with that. And that's spin. That is the spin technique. It takes time to develop, and it takes time to master that, because if you don't do it right, a sale that's happening, you can lose it, and vice versa. So the spin is,
Very quickly, what is the spin?
So spin, I separate the word spin. So S stands for situation. So situation will be, right, I've come in, I want to make sure that everything is right. So I'm here for an hour. So if you told me you're here for 20 minutes, then I can't do it. So I'll set the scene, and I'm saying that, so what we're hoping to achieve at this meeting. And then from situation, then sales is buyer is based on either he needs the product or he wants the product. For example, we all want a car. We all want a nice car. But really, do we need it? So in the sales terms, we call it explicit needs and implied needs. So explicit needs is that everybody wants to have a promotion, everybody wants to earn 100,000, whatever it may be. But implied need is that, so you have to then identify that this customer wants it, but you have to then use that technique to turn it into a need. So the P becomes a problem. Okay. So I'll look at, right, okay, we talked about your branding. What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? And now I'm going to tackle in the problem. How's that is affecting you? How's that going to affect in future? So we're looking at the negative side, that how things are wrong, and then we move into what we call the I, so it's implications. Implications, putting everything back together, giving you a clarity, a result, and making you visualize that after what I've said, put this together, you can see light end of the tunnel. And then the end needs payoff is basically in the position where that, I'm happy with all of that. You showed me, this was the negative when you first walked in. Now I've seen the positive. How much is it? Let's go and do it. So that's what's been. But all of that takes.
As that, yeah?
Now I've made that 28 of years of in 5 minutes, and you're thinking, wow, that's easy. But every situation, if I'm in the situation at the start, and I have to close that door to move on to the problem. Yeah. If I haven't identified enough as it is, I can't move to the problem. Okay. Because at the end, that door's open. You'll come back and say, I just wanted information, mate. You've done 2 hours, so so you haven't closed it. But that spin technique, once you've learned that, you can't. So whichever company you're working for, whatever business you have, okay, like your business, is a service. So really, I won't be using all of that. All I'll be using is problem. Right? Okay. So somebody comes to you, right? Okay. Why do you? Why are you looking for? Why are you looking for a new career? What is it? There's going to be a reason. You're just going to find that reason and you move on. But if you've learnt the whole spin, you can then. That's it. You have that. You can go anywhere. Okay. And you'll be successful with it, yeah.
Fantastic, is that fantastic? Last question, very quickly. If anyone listening today wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
There's so many ways they can get in touch with me. First of all, if they are on LinkedIn and they just have to type my name, Zafran Khan, FSB, it comes up. I'm on Facebook as well.
Zafran Khan spelled Zafran
and then Khan, Khan, and then exactly the same on Facebook as well. Or they can email me as well on zafran.khan@fsb.org.uk.
Brilliant. Zafran, brother, thank you very much for your time today. I really, really enjoyed it. I've actually this hour's flown by, and with sales, we could talk about days. There's so much.
We can talk hours, months, because there'll be good side of it, and there'll be bad side of it, situations that's happened and how we've tackled it. But it's a great subject. Any subject, whether HR, accounts, sales, it's they all have their own.
It's a subject that.
I thank you for you allowing me to come along for an hour, and I didn't realise that the time that fast.
I know, but it's a subject that, because there's so much we can talk on. Inshallah, we'll get you back on and we can elaborate more on this. But Zafran, really, really thank you very much, guys. You've been listening to the Business Hour here on Unity FM. I'm your host, Rashid. If you caught the back end of that, then don't worry, the show will be repeated again on Saturday at 5 o'clock. Alternatively, you can listen to it on the Unity FM website, or watch it on my YouTube channel at Umar Rashid HR. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram on Umar Rashid HR. Please do connect, reach out and provide feedback, and if you want to come onto the show, then we can make that happen. Tune in next week, back again with another amazing guest on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Until then, take care. Assalamu alaikum.